all should be. Thank you, and I yield back.
Ms. Malliotakis.
Well, thank you, Ambassador Tai. I appreciate you being here today. Since I've come on this committee, I've really made it a priority to address the supply chain issue as it relates to our pharmaceuticals. I think everybody on this committee agrees that it is very dangerous for us to rely overwhelmingly on Communist China for our pharmaceuticals. As a matter of fact, one of our biggest issues right now is that there are 252 drugs that are currently in shortage in the United States with no pattern or predictability. And India and China manufacture, as you know, active pharmaceutical ingredients that make up about 60 to 70% of the generic drugs in the United States. Chinese API prices have more than doubled since 2020. China is the leading source for U.S. pharmaceutical imports, and China is the leading source of the API that even India uses in its drug production. Over 80% of all APIs for essential medicines are used in the U.S. have no domestic manufacturing source, and over the past 20 years, pharmaceuticals went from the 9th most imported good to the 2nd most imported good. Now, obviously, we oversee tax and trade on this committee. I'm introducing legislation soon that would try to onshore a lot of our pharmaceutical production. But as it relates to trade, China also accounts for 95% of our ibuprofen, 91% of hydrocortisone, 70% of 40 to 45% of penicillins. So what can we do from the trade aspect? And is this something that you are actively speaking within this administration?
Yes, this is an incredibly important issue, and I've noted the interest on this committee, and I think that a logical next step is to find an appropriate forum or convening so that we can sit down and continue the work. But Ms. Malliotakis, yes, we are working on this on an interagency basis, but from a trade perspective as well. We have a supply chains exercise going this year that identifies 11 critical sectors, and medicines API is one of them.
Okay, what countries do you potentially see opportunity? So for example, we recently visited Poland. I mean, that's a country that's like-minded. We are in agreement on so many issues and values. They seem to be producing pharmaceuticals. Ireland's another opportunity. Again, obviously, we want to try to onshore as much as we can using various incentives to level the playing field. But from the trade perspective, where we can't onshore, we want to at least friendshore. Do you see any countries in particular that you think could be capable of working with us?
Let me just endorse your onshoring and friendshoring combination in terms of seeing that as the solution. Our thinking is very much aligned. In terms of good candidates, let me just put it this way, my mind is very open. You have probably done more due diligence and footwork in your visits. I'd be delighted to take on board what you found in your travels.
Okay. Well, I really, in your role, I think it's critical that you play a really instrumental part in trying to identify those countries where we can have these types of arrangements. And I really urge you to urge the president to talk about this. I mean, it's shocking that the president of the United States does not talk about the need to bring pharmaceutical manufacturing home, or at least not rely on communist China. I mean, this is potentially very, very dangerous, and not hearing the president talk about this in a post-COVID world, right, where we know we need to have our pharmaceutical supply chain shored up and all of that. It's incredible to me that there's been no mention of this. So it's great that we're talking about it. We talked about it before when you've visited the committee. I think we really need to take action now, and as our leading trade ambassador, really appreciate your leadership on this. And we, the committee, will help and work with you however